Good morning and welcome to the new edition of my live comments. For the last couple of days, once again the Mueller investigation in the news. And people have been thinking a lot whether Mueller is going to identify President Trump as a victim or as an accused. Is he really involved or is he not? Would President fire Mueller or would he not? These and a zillion other questions have been raised. And between the two extremes, the one extreme, CNN and the Washington Times, and the other extreme, Fox News. Between these two extremes, there's a middle America. And that silent majority is genuinely hoping that all facts should be revealed or this witch hunt, as President Trump called it, should come to an end. But suppose it doesn't come to an end. So what? The question is, what happens in case Mueller, under the protection of the Democrats, or if the facts so revealed, identifies that Trump is not a victim of witch hunt, but he is really guilty? Till now, there has been no proof. Till now, there is nothing on the record to show it. Even the indictment of the 13 Russians very clearly stated no American is involved. That means neither President Trump nor anybody else is involved. But for the sake of argument, let me be the devil's advocate. It is proved that President Trump or his team were guilty of being subversive insofar as they colluded with Russia. What happens? Robert Mueller prepares the report and submits it. But is the report to be submitted to the public? No. He is not required to make the findings public. And as a matter of fact, the obligation legally is that he must report in secret and only to the Attorney General. He cannot report it to Congress. People have a mistaken notion that once the report is submitted, it will go to the Congress. And then once again, the dirty linen would be washed. Once again, charges and the counter charges would be there. But no, it's not going to happen. We have failed to understand that Mueller's appointment is as a special prosecutor, not as an independent counsel. And there's a huge difference. Of President Clinton's murky dealings in sexual predation sought to the appointment of independent counsel Kenneth Starr, who had a multi-year investigation and then submitted a 211-page report to the Congress, backed by 6 volumes of supporting evidence. Clinton was impeached by the House of Representatives, but acquitted in the Senate. Now, following that, the Institute of Independent Counsel came to an end. That was the last time the independent counsel was ever appointed. There was a special prosecutor legislation which provided wider jurisdiction, clear public reporting requirement, and that was allowed to die. In its place, Clinton's Attorney General, Janet Reno, she created a far more limited successor by regulation, and the new post of special prosecutor was created for such exigencies. Now, the new law by Janet was that the special counsel is not required to make his findings public. He must, the word is must, operate and report in secret only and only to the Attorney General. And in this case, since the Attorney General has recused himself to the Deputy Attorney General, who is Rod Renstein, then it is up to Rod to send it to the Justice Department for action, prosecution of the people other than Trump, or to give it to the Congress for study. But no Mueller equivalent of Starr's findings, substantial and credible information can ever be submitted to Congress directly. Now, the victim in chief today is at present, till the report is submitted otherwise, President Trump. But he has an authority to suppress the findings of the report if they go against him. All this debate you are watching on CNN or reading about is absolutely junk. I say that most of the time they're talking whether President can fire Mueller or not. Whether he can fire or not is not germane to the point. He may fire, he may not fire. Can he fire or can he not fire are not relevant, because whether he fires or not, the report has to be submitted to the Deputy Advocate General, and at that time, the President, the moment the report is submitted, can fire Deputy Advocate General, appoint an acting Deputy Advocate General, and order him to suppress the report. He doesn't have to face the wrath of the people or the wrath of the Congress in firing Mueller. All these senators who are saying it will be a step leading to impeachment are just groping in the dark. I fail to understand that these lawmakers, these journalists who cry from the rooftops with their legal advisors and the legal pundits are coming up. But the real fact that the report cannot be made public. It has to be submitted only to the Attorney General, in this case Deputy Attorney General, and it's up to him to do what he thinks proper. People forget that Mueller is not an independent counsel, but he is a special prosecutor. He has no obligation, in fact, he is legislatively barred from presenting the report to anybody or any authority except to the Deputy Advocate General. There will not be a blanket exoneration. No finding in Trump's is right or he is wrong. The point is, Mueller is seeking indictments for criminal activity. Some of those have entered into plea agreements. Some have agreed to help Mueller in exchange for reduced sentences. But till today, more than a dozen indictments do not contain or pertain either to the collusion with Russia or in any way that indicates a disloyalty to the country. The indictments till now have been of the 13 individuals and one corporation of Russia, and where it's very clearly stated not a single American is involved. The indictments of the Americans are for other things that were much before the era of Trump. At that time, for example, Monfort, Gates, they have been indicted for offenses which date back more than 20 years back. And legally again, as one professor of Harvard Law School said, these would ultimately be thrown out by the Supreme Court because they are time barred. Mueller has more latitude than independent counsel has. That's expect. If it had been an independent counsel, he would not have to go into tertiary matters the way Mueller is going. He was only to deal with Clinton, and Clinton. Here, Mueller is going after the bank records, actions in Ukraine, with the pornographer, porn stars, with the models, and whatnot. They are not germane, or they would not have been germane to the independent counsel, but as a special counsel, he has more latitude. But whatever he writes are writes for public, or his intention is to make it a subject matter of discussion in the Senate and the House of Representatives, would not be his decision, because he is legally bound to deliver it to the Deputy Advocate General, and Deputy Advocate General can be fired by the Attorney General any second. Now imagine another thing has come which people are forgetting. People have been criticizing, even President Trump has been criticizing Jeff Sessions. But I think Jeff Sessions has been extremely intelligent. He appointed the U.S. Attorney for Utah to conduct an inquiry into the working of the FBI itself and all facts relating to anti-Trump, whether FBI was honest or not. Now, it's very unusual for us. This action of the Attorney General is very, very important. The U.S. Attorney has been tasked with conducting 3 kinds of such review. Articles of Hooper have cited earlier Patrick Fitzgerald, the U.S. Attorney in Chicago, who was in Bush area. And technically, there is a precedent. The outside prosecutor is going to submit, or is likely to submit a report, because this is investigating something very different. So the 2 contradictory reports would be submitted, and the political pressure, because each side will like to protect its protagonist. The Democrats will like to protect Clinton. Republicans will like to protect Trump if both are guilty. And it is not investigation wrongdoing by the Trump administrative officers, the new prosecutor. He is doing wrongdoing by the critics and perceived enemies. And he was appointed because of pressure from within the president's own party to go after the deep state believers. If Eric Holder had appointed a U.S. attorney to possible illegal leaking with the IRS, it would have been a different man. But Eric Holder didn't do it, and Jeff is following the same policy. People are missing that this was a brilliant move by Jeff Sessions. And the president possibly has not also understood it. And that's what I told the president. I'm very clear that the president should be made aware that Jeff Sessions, though he recused himself and made a mistake, has by appointed the new counsel, the new prosecutor, nullified the facts of the Mueller report. Mueller report is not justiciable. Mueller report cannot be submitted to the Congress with the permission of the Deputy Attorney General. Mueller's report is strictly confidential. But the report of the independent prosecutor appointed by Jeff would not be a secret document. It will be subject to the newspapers. It should be subject to scrutiny by the media. It will be subject for inquiry by or discussion by the Senate and the House of Representatives. And it's worth keeping our eyes open. That Ken Starr said at that time, let's not forget it. And he very clearly said that what is perceived is not the truth often. So whatever the media might talk about Mueller is not a fact. So three things emerge from this. One, Mueller's report till now has not blamed Trump for the purpose the Mueller was appointed. He has been fishing into other things. And they, in some cases, are not even connected with Trump. Second, even if he ultimately finds Trump or his campaign guilty, he cannot submit his report either to the media, leak it up, then he'll be committing a crime himself, and he cannot give it to Congress. He has to submit it to the Deputy Attorney General, then it's up to the Deputy Attorney General to take action. Thirdly, the Deputy Attorney General is appointed and holds the office of the pleasure of the President and or Attorney General. Judge Session, even without going to the President, can ask him to quit right away the moment his report is submitted, and then appoint an acting Deputy Attorney General who can simply quash the report. As a matter of fact, it's within his rights to declare it a state secret and bury it for the next 25 years. Fourthly, the new independent prosecutor appointed to inquire into FBI's doing and the Democratic doing is going to take the heat away from the Mueller report, even if it's discussed. So, the situation being what it is, all this dust being blown, all this noise being created is only sound and fury, signifying nothing. Thank you.